Hello! Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Dani, and today I'm gonna tell you about all the books that I bought, acquired, was given, that were added to my bookshelf in January and February of 2021. One of my goals for 2021, if you watched that video, was that I didn't want to buy backlist books. I just wanted to buy books that I was going to definitely read that month, or new releases that I was excited for that I'm probably going to read it really soon. But I didn't want to buy backlist books just for the sake of buying books that are going to stay on my bookshelf and not be read. And I'm pleased to say that that's been working very well. So all of these books you've probably already seen me mention because it's books that I bought to read for my M&ms TBR or just overall received in these 2 months. Most of them are 2021 releases except for one group of books that I bought that are not like you get it, but they're very old releases. But I have been reading them, so it counts, even if it's not for the M&ms. So there are 4 books that I just mentioned on my February wrap-up. So it turns out that when I went to edit the February wrap-up video, it was completely blurry, so I did not upload it yet. I'm going to have to film it again. So just ignore the parts where I say you should check the video for the wrap-up because that doesn't exist yet, but it will be the next one I post probably. So the first one is Wishes Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. This was sent to me by HarperCollins. Again, thank you so much for sending this to me. I was very excited to receive it. I'm so happy that I could read it before release and let you guys know what I thought about it. This is a YA fantasy inspired by Jamaican culture and folklore, and it's about these 2 girls who are they don't like the current ruler of the land and they want to change it and make it better. Like I said in that video, I don't want to exactly say what the synopsis is other than that because I think it gives away too much of what happened in like the first half of the book. But it's a really cool fantasy filled with amazing female characters and just a unique magic system. Next we have Game Changer by Neil Shusterman. I've talked about it on my February wrap-up, but also I have a whole vlog just dedicated to this book and another book that were my 2 most anticipated releases of 2021. This is a YA contemporary fantasy sci-fi all at the same time about a boy called Ash. He gets transported to a different dimension every time he gets hit pretty hard, like he hits his head playing football, and all these dimensions make him rethink his life and his biases and what is right in the world. It deals with a lot of very important topics like racism, homophobia, misogyny, and all of that. It was a bit disappointing to me. If you're curious to know why, I would definitely recommend you check that video. And then the other one in the same vlog of Game Changer is A History of What Comes Next by Sylvain Novelle. This is an adult sci-fi about a group of women who their whole generation is trying to get humanity to the stars, so get out of Earth, build rockets, and actually get out of our planet. And this has a lot of real history in it. It's the whole real history of the space race, but with this characters added on it. So if you like historical fiction and sci-fi, I would recommend it. It's more like an alternate history thing, because it's exactly what happened in the world, which was a little bit of my issue with this book, that I felt like it got too stuck in actual history and didn't get away from that to more interesting things. But I still recommend it. I think it's a really cool, interesting read if you like sci-fi and the space race. So if you should check those videos to hear more what I thought about this. And then the last book that I've read in this book haul is A Clock of Stars by Francesca Gibbons. This was in Owlcrate Jr. in November, December, something. I received it in January, I think. And this is a middle grade fantasy about 2 girls who find a portal to a different world, and they go into this portal and they find all this whimsical, magical creatures living their life with some evil creatures that attack at night, and they kind of try to help them at the same time as they are trying to go back home. I thought it was a lot of fun, but not necessarily the most memorable book for me. But I still recommend it if you're looking for a middle grade portal fantasy. And then there are 2 books that are on my March TBR. The first one is Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. Again, this was sent to me by HarperCollins. Thank you so much for this. I haven't started this yet, but it's definitely going to be the next one that I start. It is going to be released in May. This is a YA fantasy about a girl who discovers that she's the last in the lineage of people who can save the world from destruction, or something like that. And she's joined by a big crew of people that, of course, all of them have their own reasons to be there, their own things going on. And it says that it's perfect for fans of Tolkien and Lee Bardugo, and it does kind of makes me think about Six of Crows. So I'm really excited to go into this book and see what it is all about, and I'll tell you about it in my March wrap-up. So be sure to subscribe if you want to see my thoughts about this book. Another book that I received from Owlcrate was Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This is a kind of retelling, or maybe just like a book that had the characters in the book are Greek gods and goddesses, and it's about this girl called Lore, and she's a descendant of one of the gods, and every 9 years or 7 years the gods get sent to Earth as mortals, and the descendants can kill them and take their place. Something like that. I'm really excited. I love everything about Greek mythology, and this just sounds like a lot of fun. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get to it, but hopefully very soon, because this was on my January TBR, but I didn't receive it in time to read it in January, and then I read a lot of other stuff. My February TBR also got out of hand, and I didn't even complete that. So we'll see when I can get this on my TBR again, because I'm very curious to read it. Another book that I bought in February was a pre-order, and it is on my March TBR, is Fullmetal Alchemist Volume 12. I am reading Fullmetal Alchemist as these editions are released, and they're released every 3 months, or 4 months if I'm not wrong. I think it's 3 months. So this one was released in February, and I'm already started. I'm halfway through it, and I'm really loving it. If you don't know what Fullmetal Alchemist is about, it's a manga about two brothers. They are alchemists, so they can turn things into other things. I feel like I've said this description so many times in my channel because I read these books like all the time, and you probably already heard me saying it, but it's just an amazing series. If you haven't started it yet, like I talk about it so much that if you watch my videos, you will eventually have to start it, just so you know what I'm talking about. But it's great, has amazing characters, amazing action, it's happy, sad, funny, and I love it. Then another arc that I received in February, but it actually already came out in January, was The Effort by Claire Holroyd. This was sent to me by the Bookstore Saga here in Montreal when I bought A History of What Comes Next from them. They sent me this arc as well, and it sounds really good. It's an adult sci-fi about a group of people who they know that there's an asteroid, not an asteroid, a comet that might hit Earth, and they could do something to prevent it, but everyone else on the planet just doesn't care about it. So they're trying to decide if humanity is worth saving, if they should put all their efforts into saving humanity and getting rid of that comet before it hits Earth, or if they can just let everyone die. I'm really curious to read it. It just sounds so intriguing to me. So thank you so much for sending this to me. I'm really excited about it. And then the last 3 books are the ones that are backlist, but I've been reading them and I just am so excited about it. And it is this huge gift set of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It comes with Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual, and a Dungeon Master screen. And I'm gonna show you a little bit of it if you are curious to see it. So I guess this is the main book that everyone starts with when they start playing Dungeons & Dragons, which is a Player's Handbook. It has basically all the rules to play Dungeons & Dragons, and I kind of tapped a lot of it already. It's like I'm studying it. It's that serious. And it's just a really cool book with so many amazing illustrations. Then we have the Dungeon Master's Guide, which I also tapped a little bit. I've mentioned this in another video, but I am actually DMing the first ever Dungeons & Dragons campaign that I've ever played. So I started playing it in February, and I am a DM for it. So I've been reading a lot of this as well, and like using this as a reference for a lot of what's going on. We're playing a campaign that like a written adventure, not like I didn't create my own adventure. I'm not there yet. But we're using Roll20 to play, and it's really easy, but it's still like it takes me a lot of time to prepare for each day of adventure because people don't do what they are supposed to do. They are very unpredictable, and I have to be prepared for a lot of other things that they could do. So it just takes me a lot of time, and that's the reason why I didn't finish my m&ms TBR in February. And last we have Monster Manual, which is just a huge encyclopedia of monsters. Again, with amazing cool illustrations. It's not a book that you would pick it up to read. It's a reference book, but it's really cool. And then the screen, it comes with a screen. So this is the thing that like you put in front of you as a dungeon master so people don't see what you're doing and what number you're rolling on the die. And it has all this information behind it that it's like cool for reference as well as you're playing. But of course, as we're using Roll20 and we're all in different places, like there are people in 3 different countries playing, so I don't use this because I use my computer and I have everything on my 2 screens with all the information that I need. But this is still really cool, and it was added to my bookshelf in February, and I've been reading and been going through it. I even asked on Instagram if I should count this as a book read, because it's like a more reference book. And I definitely would, but I don't feel like it makes sense because I'm not reading the whole thing. And I don't know, I go back and forth in the book a lot, and I didn't even know when I would have finished the whole thing. So I'm not counting it as a book read on my Goodreads goal or anything like that. But it's also not on my TBR because I'm not going to pick up the monster manual and read the whole thing. And it all came in this box, which is so cool. And as much as I'm really enjoying Roll20, if you are playing Dungeons & Dragons and you're using everything online, I still definitely recommend you pick the physical books up, at least Player's Handbook or the Dungeon Master's Manual Guide, if you're a DM, because it's just cool to have the book and it's easy to find the things. I don't know. I just think it's super cool. And those were all the books that I bought in January and February of 2021. It's not a lot, but I'm fulfilling my goal of not getting a lot of new books, and I think it's working. So I probably won't have a book haul every month unless something happens and I buy a lot of books in 1 month, but I'm not expecting that to happen. So I'll probably do every 2 months or 3 months when I have acquired enough books to talk about. Let me know if you read any of this and if you're excited to read any of this. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye.